indeed, Steve, and global supply chains have struggled to normalize since the onset of COVID-19, and this resulted in hyperinflation that has seen a dramatic increase in the price of many commodities. To speak to us now about the impact on the insurance sector is Old Mutual Insure's Lizo Mnguni. Thank you so much for your time, Lizo. What has been the direct impact of the effects mentioned as experienced in the past 2 years or so, and where does this place the state of the insurance sector?
It's a pleasure to be here, Tumi. Yes, the inflation that we've seen has resulted in larger claim amounts that we've experienced, and as a result of that, we do foresee that there might be an increase in the insurance premiums that some insurers will have to charge as a result of this.
Where then does this leave the policy holder in 2022?
The policyholders and the consumer more broadly is in a really pressurized, under quite a lot of pressure at the moment. We know there's been massive headwinds in other areas as well. We saw the price of petrol going up quite recently, price of cooking oil, just usual consumer goods going up as well. So in terms of the actual financial states of the South African consumer, I don't think they're in great shape. But in terms of policyholders, as I said, these claims inflation figures that we're seeing, really quite high inflation in terms of rebuilding costs as well as car repair costs that we're facing. Insurers are doing their best to offset some of those costs, but I think some insurers will be under severe pressure to pass some of the cost on, or the increase in cost, over to their policyholders in the form of higher renewal premiums or higher premiums in general, even for new business.
And that's where the role of the broker comes in. How much of that has changed?
Yes, so the broker plays a really critical role in advising clients, making sure that they are not underinsured and they have appropriate level of insurance as well. So that hasn't really changed, and in times of crises such as these, they play a really important role in terms of making sure that customers can make informed decisions around their insurance and their cover, because the last thing you want to do is being put under financial pressure and then cancelling something like an insurance policy, and then 2 months down the line you have an insurance event and then having to use your own savings to cover the costs of that insurance event that happened because you no longer have cover. So we're working closely with our brokers to make sure that our clients are fully insured and that they're adequately protected and getting the most out of their policies during these tough times.
And Lizo, with what you've explained, it goes back to a trend that we've known in South Africa for quite some time, that insurance can become somewhat of a grudge purchase. Has there been a change in that trend given the climate that COVID-19 has brought in?
No, we generally find that people discount the value of insurance and still look at it as a grudge purchase, as you say. But nevertheless, it's only a grudge purchase until you have to use it. And when you do have to submit a claim, then you're grateful that you have it in place and that someone is there to protect your assets and pay for the loss that you've just experienced.
It's only fair, though, to note that the dynamics around insurance policies has changed dramatically. Does it dictate then that there needs to be a shift within the industry, especially on the side of having tailor-made solutions for consumers who are already over-indebted?
Yes, we have seen quite a lot of innovation in the industry generally. Lately, I think the latest innovation was around the time of COVID and hard lockdowns, where people weren't using their cars as much, and you saw insurers really take this into account in terms of the premiums they charge, charging people premiums for only the times that they're using their car and on the roads and things like that. So I have no doubt that insurance companies will remain innovative, and it's quite a competitive industry in South Africa. There are quite a few insurance companies. that operates in South Africa. So it's very competitive, and I'm sure that there'll still be innovation going into the future as well as a result.
Lastly and briefly, Lazi, I know that we are going back into somewhat of a so-called new normal. Is a de-acceleration expected anytime soon?
Sorry, it was at SAD, did you say?
A deflation expected anytime soon?
So yeah, this is varied from different people have different opinions around what might happen. Some people do see a deflationary effect coming in after all of this inflation has worked its way through the system. But we're of the view that that might not necessarily happen. It is one of our scenarios that we've been looking at. But it's a scenario that we're not putting too much chance or probability on. We do think inflation will rather come down to normal levels after these very high levels of inflation. So we don't see that deflationary pressure going through the system again as well after this period that we're in.
Thank you so much for your input. Old Mutual Insure's Lizo Mnguni.